Hey everybody, my name is Esper and welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day and I hope that I can help you with this video. So let's get started. So these are the ways that I prepped for Peachtober, which is Furry Little Peaches Drawing Challenge for October. Normally, Inktober is the big challenge that everybody does, but this one is inclusive to all kinds of mediums. So I thought that it would be best for me to do this prompt list. One, because I absolutely love Furry Little Peach, and two, because I have been working on my watercolor skills for the past few months. So this is a good way for me to kind of execute those skills and hopefully get a few good artworks out of it that I would really like. To prepare for this challenge, I had to do a few things. So the first thing I did to prepare for this challenge was to create thumbnail sketches. If you don't know what thumbnail sketches are, they're basically just like itty bitty little sketches that are just implying what the drawing would look like and getting the basic shapes down. I wasn't doing full sketches at this point, and I wasn't doing anything really rigorous. These probably took like 20-30 seconds each to make because I wanted to be quick and I wanted to get more of an idea what I was going to do rather than commit to something immediately. So these thumbnail sketches were good to get my base ideas down because some prompts I had an exact idea of what I wanted to draw, and other prompts I had no idea what I wanted to draw for them. Some prompts I wanted to go super literal, and other prompts I didn't really want to go that route. So it was really helpful in kind of deciding where I wanted my art to land. Once I settled to ideas that I wanted to do, I ended up doing sketches for them. And this was the process where I started finding the sketches that I really enjoyed making and the sketches that I didn't really enjoy making that much. So at this point is kind of the revision phase. I know now what I like and what I don't like out of my ideas, which is great, but also more work for me. So now that I have these sketches, I figured out what I wanted to do out of my prompts, and I ended up crossing out some prompts that I thought I had a great idea for and then replacing that thumbnail with a new thumbnail and a new sketch because I felt like the new idea was better than the old one. So this is the stage where everything really gets kind of refined. I wouldn't really say that it's super refined, but this is kind of the piece that's going to go onto the final paper. And this is really helpful because you can listen to a prompt and think, I know what I'm going to do for that prompt. But the moment you draw it is really the moment that it becomes real. And once it's real, you can evaluate how good that prompt is to you and how happy you are with that initial idea. This was a really helpful step for me to get to sketches that I'm happy with, and knowing that at the end of this month, I'm going to have pieces that I really like. The next thing I did was do a test piece on a 4x4 piece of watercolor paper with the paper that I was actually going to use. So I have two types of watercolor paper. I'll link them down below in the description. And I use my cheap watercolor just to test stuff out, but I wanted this time to test out my materials and my sketches with a good watercolor paper that I was going to be using to familiarize myself with the differences that I was going to encounter. So a 4x4 piece isn't that big. It's about probably this big. And that helped me a lot with framing and learning how I have to do my colors and what I need to do ultimately to actually get the piece that I wanted. Doing this test piece was a good dry run, you know. The same thing with theater, dress rehearsal, stuff like that. This is where I found all of the things that I need to work on and change for when I do the final piece. After I did my test piece, I actually looked at my test piece and wrote down notes. So that is my fourth thing that I did to prepare for Peachtober, is to write notes and criticize the test piece that I made so that I won't make those same mistakes on the day of when I'm actually painting my pieces. So it's really helpful and really, really good to make these mistakes. That was a really weird way of saying mistakes. Taking these notes was a very important part of the process for me, because you don't really know what your struggles are with the challenge until you do them. So having this dry run is very helpful for me, because I made the mistakes that I would have made on the day of that I would have had to correct. So having these mistakes now and being able to identify them and to work on them before the challenge comes up is a really, really important thing for me, because I can then make sure that I don't make those same mistakes when I'm doing the challenge, when I'm there on the day of and the pressure is on. The last thing I did to prepare for Peachtober, which is to make all of my sketches ahead of time. And these are just the pencil sketches that I made. And I did this because I know that watercolor is a very, very time-consuming medium. I have to wait for other parts of my painting to dry before I can paint near them, because I don't want to bleed the colors into each other unless that's an effect that I'm going for. So having these sketches made ahead of time allows me to plan in my head which parts of the painting that I can work on and separate them in my mind to areas that I can work with and maximize the amount of time that I can spend working on the painting by letting other parts dry. This was a very watercolor specific tip, but I think that doing your sketches ahead of time for any medium is very important, because it helps you plan out what you're going to do. And when you're doing the sketches, it actually, for me anyway, helps in my mind plan out the steps that I'm going to take to get this piece finished, colored in, whatever that you're going to do to finalize this sketch. So I hope this was helpful to you. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. And for more content like this, subscribe to my channel. I hope you guys have a fun Peachtober, and I will see you in the next video. Bye! So the last thing I did to prepare for... Did you hear that car go by?